Bitcoin is now fighting both the 50-day and also the 200-day simple moving average. And at the same time, we do see that Cronos is now right back at the logarithmic regression line in the green. Does this mean it's now all over for crypto, or is it still time to buy? Well, guys, I would say let's strap in and let's find out. This video is sponsored by Wolfswap and the latest Season 16, where you can start trading and earning directly here on the platform. Traditionally, we're now entering that time of the year where CRO truly starts to shine. You can see here 2023 and 2024, it started going parabolic in this part of November. And if we also add 2021, the bull market of 2021 to it, you can see it truly started going nuts here, plus 1300% in November. Truly crazy, guys. But I think to many, it doesn't feel this way yet. If we also open up the Fear and Greed Index, you can see we're now very close even to extreme fear. The last time we were at this low, Bitcoin was trading at about 90k, and I was still, of course, above $100,000. So I do not think the fear is truly rational. That's also why in this video, we're going to take a look, of course, at Bitcoin. What is Bitcoin doing? What can we expect it to do in the near future? And also, what is CRO doing? It's back now in the green zone near the logarithmic regression band. So guys, make sure you hit the like button and strap in for this and many more videos. Anyways, let's start now with Bitcoin, because we were mentioning seasonality. And this year, it is completely different than other years. For example, typically the October month is a green month, but this October closed in the red. The first time really in a long time that we have seen a red October. So the October narrative wasn't true this time around. However, also the opposite here happened for September. So we expected a rectember, but it became a green tember. So the overall seasonality is playing games, it does seem like. However, as always, guys, we try to zoom out and kill the noise. So let's go back to the Bitcoin chart here. And what we do see happening now is that we do see on the weekly scale, it is moving to the downside. You can create here a bit of an ascending broadening wedge. If we kill the majority of the noise, you can see it is overall moving down. And yes, there are some outliers, but let's remove those. Those do not count. More of a fake out, it does seem. And this might seem bearish because, yeah, it's a continuation pattern. But the good thing is that at some point, with a descending broadening wedge, we do often see an escape to the upside. That is the base case for me still. Especially also because if we take a look at the RSI on the weekly, we can bring up the relative strength index. It is getting lower and lower and lower. It's now even below the neutral zone, meaning, guys, it's closer to being oversold than overbought. So that's a good sign why Bitcoin might start going up again in the future. That doesn't mean that in the short term, we might see another fake out to the downside. We've seen a fake out to the upside here. We might also see one more fake out to the downside, because the 50-week, which is the orange line here, is super important for Bitcoin. In the whole history of Bitcoin, sometimes we see a bit of a liquidity grab because we retest the 50-week for a short amount of time here, and also we have to go in multiple cycles. But you can see that we have been touching this line again and again and again and again. So the 50-week might get one more touch, but in my humble opinion, this overall setup for Bitcoin looks more bullish than bearish with, for example, this descending broadening wedge. But of course, guys, no financial advice. What I'm seeing though, if we start to zoom out, is also that we have a lot of reasons to believe this is not the top yet for Bitcoin. For example, let's add that RSI once more, and still we are not close to a true peak here if we take a look at those previous peaks regarding the RSI for Bitcoin. I do believe we can go a lot higher before we see that true peak occur for Bitcoin. And also, we have a lot of different indicators. Bull market peak indicators, still no one has said, well, this has been the peak for Bitcoin this cycle. So I still think we can hit values of 150k or maybe even higher. Enough about Bitcoin though. We also need to address altcoins, and more specifically Cronos, but also the social risk indicator, But let's do that after the quick word of today's sponsor. Wolfswap is currently completely dressed up in the Halloween theme because they have some scary good contests. For example, now Season 16, the Basement Dream. You can help the intern escape the basement by earning points. And the more points you earn, also the higher you will end up on the leaderboard. Any top performing players will get some crazy good prizes. And you can participate really easily. Just press here on participate and you can start trading. Some tokens, like for example Moon, also do have a multiplier. So you can also earn more tokens. Start trading now on Wolfswap. Anyways, let's talk some more about altcoins now. Because you can see here on the altcoin season index, it is not altcoin season with value 41. It seems like we've been into a short altcoin season also when CRO went to about 40 cents. However, we are now back down closer to Bitcoin season and truly into altcoin season. However, I think the yearly chart is a lot better. What we do have here is the yearly altcoin chart, and that shows we haven't been close to an altcoin year. That's also why sentiment feels so low right now. That might change though very soon if you ask me. If you take a look at the Bitcoin dominance chart here, BTC.D, I do believe soon we might be heading into an actual altcoin season here. We do have a setup very similar to the 2021 setup where we have a drawdown, consolidation, and then finally a leg down once more into a true altcoin season. This is, guys, what we need. These values as low as here, those are altcoin season. But now we have here an ascending wedge. And this typically breaks to the downside. And I'm really watching about 60.4%, this white dotted line here, because it has been resistance for Bitcoin dominance here, and support here, also support here. But it was also the breakdown point back in 2021. So guys, a really interesting value. I do think we're getting very close to the finale really of Bitcoin dominance regarding this cycle. So very exciting, guys, for altcoins. And it also corresponds nicely with, again, the CRO seasonality. When we talk about seasonality, it should be starting about now. November is typically a month where altcoins outperform Bitcoin. And we can see that, for example, also on the CRO Bitcoin chart. In November of 2021, it started going up. But where we are now for CRO Bitcoin, it is nicely holding on to about this purple level here. The purple level is the previous all-time low, but it seems we're bouncing now still quite nicely off about this level. And yes, guys, we now have a bit of a red candle below the purple line, but the day is not over yet. I think we might actually go into the green a bit later today. Let's see, though. We might get a bit of a big wick here, but it's also nicely holding on to the blue line. With that in mind, though, let's also talk about CRO US dollar, because here we do have the rainbow chart, and where we are now is actually quite interesting level because we are retesting here the logarithmic regression line. And what we've talked about in the stream recently is that we have seen so far 3 waves complete. So one wave, a second wave, and also the third wave has completely finished. What we saw back then is that we ended really that final wave backtesting also a logarithmic regression line. Yes, it went a bit lower, but truly, guys, it basically kept bouncing here on about this level. So my question is, will we also start bouncing now at about this regression line? And I think it might be happening already now. But the question, of course, is, will we complete a similar leg up like what we have seen here? That's, of course, the big question. I am still hopeful of anything like that to occur, but of course, that's no financial advice. If you take a look at, for example, the RSI, we can see that also now the RSI is, like with Bitcoin, closer to being oversold than overbought. So there is definitely more wriggle room now on the weekly scale to start pumping a lot higher. But we also have the MACD. The MACD, as I would say, a bit of a bad news indicator at this point because it is in the red currently. And there is still no sign of it stopping. The only saving grace, I would say, is that we're now getting close to the previous low of the MACD. So if, like next week, we'll start to see those yellow or, well, light red colors, that can be a good sign that we're again heading into a green territory. But so far, guys, nothing like that yet. It might even go a bit deeper. Unfortunately, there's no sign yet that might tell us if we're getting to the end of the dump yet. But I do believe, based here on the rainbow chart at least, that we're getting very close now to the end. What we see for CRO in the short term is that we're still trading within this downward facing channel, but we are still respecting all the upper and lower trend lines. So of course, it's, I think, a good sign. However, at some point, I do think we need to see a breakout of this pattern. Most likely outcome is again an upward breakout, and we need to really flip this line into support. What we have seen, it has been all resistance with a quick wick after the news regarding the prediction markets on Truth Social, but it also has been all resistance over here as well. So if you can flip about 17 cents into support, that would be a great indicator of more pumps to come. So guys, make sure you check out that 70-cent level in the short term, because that can be a big flip from bearish into bullish. Finally, let's talk about the social risk for CRO. And based on Google Trends, YouTube views, and also X impressions, the Cronos social risk has returned back to levels that were last seen in August of 2025. So it is not very low. I mean, it's still relatively high, as I mentioned before. But this, guys, is basically where we were in August. And in August, CRO was trading, well, about at the same price as well. So I think it makes sense. The higher the price goes of CRO, also the higher engagement is, and the more people talk about the CRO token as well. Price, simply said, is the best marketing tool for the CRO token. So I do believe it can still go a lot higher. 41 is definitely no high value. And also, even in the August period with the big pump, we didn't even get close to the previous red levels here. So we have still a lot more place to climb. Then, though, it's time for a conclusion. Is it still time to buy the CRO token? And I would say, based on the sentiment, no, it might be getting close to a bear market. However, if you take a look at seasonality, many of the charts, and also the social risk indicator, I could still make the argument that buying CRO whilst in the green risk band is still a great risk versus reward opportunity. But as always, guys, do your own research and let me know what you think about the current markets for CRO, for Bitcoin, and of course for all the other altcoins. And while you're there, don't forget to hit that like button and of course subscribe for more content. And by the way, recently we made a video talking about the 4-year cycle. I think that is more important than ever. So check out that video as well, guys, here to the right of me.